Everybody hates to pay their taxes. It may feel like a theft, or that some of your long and dreadful hours at the job have been all for nothing. Certainly most of us know that you get some value out of the taxes. After all, the state is supposed to provide you with some service for the money that they take from you. But still, the feeling of being robbed remains. And the feeling is somewhat correct. You are being robbed. Your money is taken from you. And would you refuse to surrender your money, the state will take it by force. That is something that I would describe as robbery. The act of tax collection is wrong and unjust. But why do we put up with this injustice? How can we think that this is normal and okay? I may not be able to persuade you to think that paying taxes is okay. However, I hope that I can explain why the tax system is the least bad option. It is the best we can do. Even the most die-hard neo-liberalist would agree with me that some state is necessary for the survival of bigger communities. A small society, say a family or a village with only 10 to 20 people, would probably do just fine without a state and without a tax system. They would understand that they need to trust each other and that they cannot get away with cheating, since everybody knows everybody. But the bigger the society, the harder it gets to cooperate efficiently. And when the society has grown into a big city or a whole country with citizens in the millions, it is downright impossible for the cooperation of free will to survive. As a country, we need to protect ourselves from enemies outside the country's borders. We also need protection from ill-willing persons inside our borders. That is, we need military defense and police. We also need an unbiased justice system that can settle disputes between citizens. And we need roads to drive on, and so on. All these things I mentioned is of great value to every citizen, and we want to fund these projects. How we fund these projects, however, is a difficult matter. The nature of these goods that I mentioned, that is the military, the police, the justice system, and the roads, is that everyone, even though you did not pay for it, will benefit from the existence of these goods. The military will in effect protect the citizen that did not pay for the defense of the country just as much as the person who paid the most when they patrolled the borders. Similarly, it would be too costly or too difficult to control that everyone who walks on the street have paid their fair share. Since no one would want to pay for a free rider, that is a person who did not pay for the good but still enjoys the benefit of it, none of these goods will be provided. Therefore, establishing that we do want to provide these public goods and that it's too costly or too difficult to fund them through voluntary donations, we must enforce some injustice. We must force every citizen to pay their fair share. There is no other way around it. The funding of these public goods is important for every citizen and their well-being. But because no one wants to be the loser who pays for the public goods while others can use them for free, none of these goods will be provided, and all the citizens are worse off because no one will have any military protection and no one will have roads to drive on, etc., etc. Because of this, although forcing people to pay their fair share is not great, it is the best we can do. It is not an ideal option, but considering that the best option, that everyone is paying voluntarily, is not viable, it is the most reasonable option. It is the second best alternative, and that is what we must settle for. It is an injustice, but an injustice we can and have to live with. This is why we must pay our taxes. We do not have to think that it's right, and we certainly do not have to think it is enjoyable. But I think we must recognize that the tax collection to some degree is defendable, and something that we have to respect. Because it is the best alternative of the options that we can choose from. It is an injustice, but an injustice that we must live with.